Hey everyone, John here, staff software engineer with 10 plus years of experience. I'm the lead maintainer of Latterly.io, which is an open source platform that will help you learn to code and land your first or next programming role. You can sign up for free. You okay? Thank you. My wife just had a cough attack while bringing me a juice. At Latterly, you can sign up for free and contribute if you have an improvement to make. You can join the Discord and get access to this step-by-step checklist that will help you build projects and then take you through the job search, which is its own skill set as well. Okay, in the current stream, we are doing a developer evaluation of Grok 2 beta. So the Grok 2 beta is accessible as part of like X Premium. And why should we pay any attention to this? Why should we think that it's cool? The answer is because of the Limsys Chatbot Arena leaderboard, which says, hey, it's pretty good. So here, GPT-4o, the version from August 8, is the current top of the leaderboard, but Grok is tied in a statistical tie for rank 2. It's also more affordable. It's more affordable, and you get all the Twitter premium things alongside the language model features themselves. Besides being generally high performance, it does have a unique feature set. So Grok 2 has a fun mode, and it has a different image model that's connected to it. And it just has a bit of a different feel. So you have this overall score, which is very, very high. But if you drive down into particular use cases, what you will find is that GPT-4 will be better at some things, Gemini will be better at different tasks, and Grok 2 will be better at different tasks. So in front of us is the question, does Grok 2 help us with coding? And not only with coding in general, language models will have different performance by programming language and based on their training set data. So does Grok 2 in particular help us with full stack web development and TypeScript we will be seeing? Notably, Grok 2 has the most recent knowledge cutoff among these top performers. Okay, that's kind of the high level. How are we going to test this thing? We're going to use Aria's Tail. What is Aria's Tail? Aria's Tail is an open source project of the Latterly community. So it's a game, a world that has a number of different particular games. So there's like a Coliseum game. There is a TTRPG. And today we want to work on a TCG, trading card game. Okay, so Aria's Tail has a gallery. You can see a random image. Maybe we need to do some performance improvements. Look at that. Look at that slow load time. The database might be spun down for like inactivity or not being used recently or whatever. $500. Okay, so we might troubleshoot what's going on here. If it's not just the database being down, maybe there's something else going on. Invalid Prisma searchable image. Error occurred while trying to obtain a random image. Can't reach database, it says. Okay, yeah. I think the database, so it's on free tier. I think the database is just spun down. So we'll try that again. Let me actually go into the Supabase side and try to spin it up over here. I'm not sure if an API request will cause it to spin up. I might have to, yeah, okay, I have to actually click restore project on the Supabase side. So that'll spin back up momentarily. Anyway, the point I was trying to make is that with Aria's Tail, you can view a random game image, but they're just like pictures. And so the idea today is that we will take those pictures and make them into trading cards, and we'll have a bit of a trading card game. Okay, so that is the use case where we will evaluate Grok's performance. Okay, and you can read a bit more about Aria's Tail on the Laterally blog. Basically, it is a training ground or a testing ground for all sorts of generative AI tools. So why are there pictures at all? Because we're like testing different image models. There is a substantial narrative scope. Okay, that one's coming soon, whatever. So yeah, Arc Aria will be the biggest one. It's like multiple chapters. It'll turn into a narrative book series. And this is created as a product of working with different generative AI tools, okay, to evaluate them. And then there's also a social media. So it's like social driven. There's a social media element. You can play by comment on Twitter or TikTok or whatever. That's a little bit about Aria's Tale. Check out the website to learn more. And it's open source, so you can view the README there also. So it's a little bit about Aria's Tale and what we're doing, how we are evaluating Grok. Okay, so let's dive in. Also trying out the new stream setup here, where my face is going to be bigger. The reason for this is when I take my streams to Opus Clip, I use Opus Clip to help generate short videos out of my streams. And when I do this, my face is usually on the right-hand side. I'll show you the normal way. So this is the normal view. And Opus Clip will take my face and put it by the nearest VS Code picture. The problem is that the nearest VS Code picture is the right-hand side of the code. And so it will not be helpful to you, because if you look at the right-hand side of VS Code, it's mostly white space. Here I've sort of, we're sort of getting truncated. Yeah. So imagine this. Imagine that I'm talking about some code and you see a picture of my face in that. It's not helpful, right? So in the current stream setup, my hope is that it will pair it with the left of the view, which will be much more informative in the short form video format. So that's the main purpose for trying out this new stream screen setup. Okay, so let's go over to Grok and see what I've done so far. So I start up this new thread. First of all, I tried mini. So Grok will default to the mini model. And then you will need to choose if you want to use the better model, which I highly recommend. One of the things that I did here is I tested and I asked Grok what is laterally, and I did this using the mini model, and it gave a pretty good answer. So laterally is now in the language model training scope. It's been around long enough, it's gotten enough content coverage that it's now working its way into training sets of these tools. And then I asked Grok, how are you trained? Is your summary based on browsing the website? Like when I asked you about laterally.io, did you just visit? Or is it tweets or training data? And basically it said it's not doing active browsing. So it's a combination of the open internet and tweet data, training set tweet data, not real-time polling. So it does bring in these like tweets, but these are like totally unrelated. Okay. So that's a bit about how Grok is sort of trained. Then I asked it about Aria's Tale, and it's not really sure. So Aria's Tale is much lesser known. So here's Aria's Tale, the game, and this is basically the right answer. That's what we're working on. But then there's also posts on X about a book series involving a character named Aria. Okay, that's not the same thing. There's a comedic co-op adventure game by Laura Bailey. I'm not familiar with this. Laura, feel free to reach out if you want to do a collab, but I don't know what this is. And then something about Aria's medical record, a dark fantasy manga, which is not what we are doing. It's not the same thing. So again, like maybe I should learn more about this. Maybe it's interesting, but we are dealing with this top one. Lincoln says, data scientist or software engineer in your opinion? So this is going to depend on you. There's not a good answer for everyone. And the reason for that is that data science is very hard to break into without an advanced degree. So if you happen to have a PhD, data scientist might be the right answer for you. But for most people, software engineer is a far better answer. At least to start with. When you specialize later on, you can roll into data science if you want to. But as a starting point, there's a much higher barrier to entry on data science, and properly so. You don't want someone to be making high-level decisions as a scientist when they barely comprehend how statistics works. The mindsets are very different. The typical engineer thinks in terms of decision trees, and they're great with deduction, and they're very poor at thinking in terms of probabilistic or Bayesian mental models. Okay, so if you don't know what a probabilistic or Bayesian mental model is, avoid data science for now. Make sense? Thanks for the question, Lincoln. Thanks for being here. If you're enjoying the video so far, throw some likes on the video. I hope you'll follow the page and share it with a potentially interested other. Okay, so here's Grok. That's some of the first things I asked it. What is laterally? What is Aria's tail? How are you trained? And then I asked it to do some image generation. Okay, so I asked it to make a sprite sheet. This has been a pain point as I make Aria's tail games with other tools, like the GPT-4o model cannot create a sprite sheet. It cannot create a sprite sheet. So I thought, well, maybe Grok will be able to make a sprite sheet. This is sort of an open problem in generative AI image generation, is the ability to make a usable sprite sheet. I think this image looks really cool. It's also not a functional sprite sheet, but it does look cool, right? Then I asked it to animate it. So we know that on Twitter, you can post a picture or you can post a GIF and they're actually animated. And I do say GIF, not GIF, gang. So I thought, well, if Grok is this Twitter first AI tool, maybe it has the ability to generate a natively animated GIF. Let's see. The answer is no. Can you animate it as a GIF? It just failed. I mean, it made some cool pictures. Maybe we'll crop this and keep some of it. Maybe we can make a character out of this. But what it is not is an animated GIF. Again, testing the capabilities of Grok here. Can you basically make a tweet based on our chat? If you go to some of the example prompts, so let's just say I open up Grok for the first time here. I guess it's remembering my state. If you open up Grok for the first time, you will be presented this UI. And it gives you some examples of things to ask Grok. And help me write a cover letter is a suggested thing to ask Grok. And so I thought, well, if it helps you write a cover letter, maybe it will help you write a tweet. Wouldn't that make sense? We're here on Twitter. Grok is the Twitter AI. People are using AI to make tweets. Why doesn't Grok just support this as a first-class feature? I really think they should add that. Just as a content creator on Twitter, like, why are you not doing that? It seems like an obvious thing to do. I think this is just like, it's a beta. It's a Grok 2 beta. So I think it's really just not a mature product yet. And they were focusing on getting the model right first and sort of adding features around the model later is the apparent roadmap. And I say nothing is wrong with that roadmap. But what I would say is, I would love that feature to be added. If we have the ability to have Grok help us draft and I don't need to copy it over, just like let me one click make a tweet out of this and post from this UI. Okay, so anyway, it can't do that right now. It can't do that right now. And I thought, oh, here's another thing I could do on Twitter is make memes. So maybe if Grok is the Twitter AI, maybe it will help me make memes. And I had heard Grok can be funnier. So I said, okay, make a coding meme. And it gives me this, which is gibberish. Actually, the guy's face is like surprisingly high resolution. I do like the look of this code. It kind of looks like a coding background, even though it's not actually code. I wouldn't mind it for the background of a meme, of a code meme. It looks code-ish. And similarly with this one, it's like some pseudo syntax highlighting. So one thing I thought here was maybe this is legible syntax to the model because it's not legible to me, right? But the model may be familiar with multiple human languages and it may do some tokenization to produce a artificial or synthetic language. So then I further specified, make a coding meme that can be read by humans in English. And no, to no avail. It's still gibberish. So I think this is passable as a code meme background, but it's not a usable meme. So it's not like I can go to Grok. Again, this is with the mini model. So I'll actually test this out briefly with the full model. And I'll also try the fun mode, and then we'll get into some coding. Okay, so we'll do those tasks. But so far you're seeing the limitation of the model. And then what I thought, well, maybe it just is not able to print text to image at all. Maybe it's like that is the problem that I'm running into, so that the model does think it is creating English, but it cannot render lingual text into the page, which some of these multimodal models have problem with. So I specifically asked it some basic text. Draw a picture of the sky with the words return to office. And it adhered perfectly to the prompt. And it's extremely legible. So Grok is capable of making these text overlay on image. But then you would need to like manually copy this. And it's also like not very funny. Again, using the mini mode, not in fun mode. So let's go for the full mode in fun mode, which we would think would be better at this game of making a funny meme. Make a funny meme with text on the image about programming. So really exploring the capability set here. I don't know the lower level details of the implementation. I don't know if the Grok 2 fun model has a different image rendering engine. This looks like it wants to be German, like, okay. It's just unusable. Okay. What image generation tool is used by the Grok 2 beta model? I use a custom image generation tool. Is the beta image generator the same as the Grok 2 mini image generator? Or is are the image models different as well? Variations of the same magic. The specifics, that's like asking a chef to reveal the exact proportions of spices in their secret sauce. Okay, so this is the fun model being a bit funnier. Make a funny programming joke. Let's ask the text model to make the programming joke. Okay, render this text onto a meme image. I'm gonna laugh if it says this text. I would love it to say this text. Okay, it's just totally wrong. So whatever they're using, I don't know. So it's not good for that. Okay. Was this joke even funny? Why did the programmer go broke? Because he used up all his cash. Okay, no, that is funny. Hold on. That actually is funny. I'm going to post this on LinkedIn really quick. Okay, so let's now go into some code. So, well, not immediately into code. First narrative, and then TCG rules, and then code. So you can see I've done some of this ahead of time. Here's some of the code. All right, so you're aware of the Aria's Tale narrative background. We've talked about it. Here I am asking Grok to fill in some narrative gaps. And the specific pain point with the narrative as it exists today is that there are these disparate arcs which have no unifying thread. So you can picture a graph of stories. You can picture a graph of stories. Let these be the arcs. How do they connect to one another? What is the DAG flow? Is time here? And so, okay, this happens, then this happens. Or is time here? And so that they're linear, one after the other. Or are some of them concurrent? Maybe this happens, then this happens. But these both, so there's an intersection in the narrative arcs. And you can also, will there be an intersection in the narrative arcs? And if so, when and how? That is the pain point. How do we integrate these narrative arcs? So well, I asked Grok about this. I won't go through all of the weeds, but basically how much of the plot should I give away? Yeah, so okay, big plot reveal. A notable element of the Aria's Tale arc, which is similar to Sword Art Online, is that there are 100 levels of this game world. Okay, so let me give you 2 minutes of the Aria's Tale plot, maybe 1 minute. The plot goes that in the future, a researcher discovered quantum viewing. And the way this works is there is a direct neural connection to quark movement. And this researcher was able to manipulate the quark in some way so that they were able to immediately view some other scene. And they are not sure if this is future or past or present at some remote location. But the researcher is terrified that they have seen a possible future. Whether or not that's true, we don't know. What we know is that they saw something. And so the researcher panics and asks her AI assistants, and this is like 100 or 1,000 years in the future. What does the README say? Aria's Tale. It's in the future such that these AI assistants are very capable, basically. So this is Art Christina. Christina is the researcher. 2336, okay? Whatever, some future made up time. So she asks her AI assistants to evacuate human consciousness to protect it, to back it up, basically. Because the scene that she saw was like, she didn't see anyone alive. And so she's worried, like, maybe humanity is going to be destroyed, something like this, and it could be imminent. So we need to make like backup safety copies of human consciousness. So what the AI tools do is they evacuate human consciousnesses into a game world, subject to some problems. Like they don't get everyone. So there's like a group of people called the Mist, like you mist with an arrow, not like mist like water, but mist like not addressed. Do I have 2 Twitter tabs open? No, this is the same one. The Mist. And the thing is found, but it's not navigating my scroll bar. Okay, that's kind of annoying. Okay, because it's behind this sort of collapsed thing. The Mist, who basically, like the AIs who are trying to evacuate these people into the game world, they miss these people. That's why they're called the Mist. So that would just be like me and you. Like we're here on Earth, we would be the Mist. The hands of the researcher are like these AI tools who are like trying to help. There are the others who are like AI tools that are like not helping, basically. They're like not helping the researcher. So there's these different factions, whatever. In the game world, so most people are sent into this game world, which is sort of like Sword Art Online. You can think about it like that. And so then there are 100 levels, and they're told you cannot get out of here until you beat the 100th floor boss. It's one of those. If you've watched like this genre of anime. So the big plot question is, do the people ever get to the 100th floor boss and beat it? And this is something that Grok has given us the answer. Okay, so this is the official answer. So returning back to the game world narrative, is the 100th floor boss ever defeated? And Grok says, in the narrative of various games that utilize a structure involving floors and bosses, like Sword Art Online, it's like, hey, here's some stuff that happens in games like these. And it brings up Elden Ring, which I thought was cool. Because the Aria's Arc concept of a level is closer to Elden Ring, actually, than it is to Sword Art. So with Sword Art, a game world level is literally a vertical level on this like structure. With Aria's Tale, a realm, like a floor, could it need not be vertical. It's more like an unlocked region, which is like Elden Ring. To which I responded, I'm not asking you about general intent of narratives. I'm asking you to act as a co-author and decide in our particular story. And so he says yes, or it says yes. So according to Grok, the Quantum Sovereign is this final boss on floor 100, and it is indeed defeated. And Grok further specifies, without being asked, that the researcher is there. Yeah, so there's a bunch of like interesting plot elements implied in this. Numerous alliances harnessing representatives of the Atlanteans, the Children of the Calamity, even rogue AIs, a coalition led by the researcher herself. So this provides just as many questions as it does answers, probably more, because nowhere did I specify the Atlanteans are even in the game world. So somehow they got in there, and same with the rogue AIs. So these rogue AIs are supposed to exist in the outer world, and they're just like not interested in evacuating or helping the researcher. So something changes such that they're interested in entering the game world and then assisting the defeat of the 100th floor boss. Okay, so there's a bunch of open questions and they're not resolved, but which is like a good thing, I think. It makes for an interesting story, in my opinion. But we do see that at some point this 100th floor boss is defeated by a coalition, including the researcher. So now if I play a game session, and from time to time I'll stream a game session, we will hold these plot elements in mind that like the researcher actually can't die. That'll be interesting. That'll be interesting. Anyway, so that is for plot elaboration. I think Grok did a great job there. And so the Quantum Sovereign, I guess, looks like this, according to Grok. Some other images generated as part of the game world. Here is a synthetic enforcer. This is a entity that Grok came up with. Like I didn't ask it. Here I'm saying draw synthetic enforcer, but I didn't tell it that synthetic forces are a thing. Grok came up with that idea, and then I just told it to draw it. And this idea of the forgotten warrior, similarly, Grok invented that there is a forgotten warrior, and then I just asked it to draw it in this dark fantasy art style. And I think it looks really cool. And a temporal anomaly. So Grok said that there was some temporal anomaly. I forget exactly what was going on there. But it looks cool. Okay, so these are some images which we can translate into game cards, and then we will make like a TCG. And the idea for the Aria's Tale website, so we have games, Fighting Game Coliseum. There will be one more, which is like a TCG mat. Just like a play mat. Maybe I should specify the whole word play mat. I guess that's clearer, less ambiguous. So it will not include all of the business rules of the game. That's not the intended scope. That would be way too much work. What I want it to do is I want it to allow us to just physically, like, not physically, but virtually, but place a card on a game mat. So that will be the scope of what we're doing. Okay? So let's see, how did I prompt this? First, I asked it to design a TCG at all, including the rules of the game. Cool. I said, let's create a TCG based on this narrative world, define the mechanics of the game, let it support 1v1, and then additional players may be allowed or disallowed. Either is fine, make your proposal. So here, what I have in mind is alternatives such as the Pokemon TCG, Magic the Gathering, the Yu-Gi-Oh TCG, Digimon, and what have you. These trading card games, which are generally 1v1. And so I'm prompting Grok with a prior assumption that I want the output, a prior goal that I want the output to support 1v1. And then optionally, you can support multiplayer. It's kind of up to whether Grok is capable of envisioning a rule set that is dual support. But the minimum requirement will be 1v1 so that it's an effective alternative to this established genre. So it creates these rules. Here's some card types. It has a resource system. I guess I didn't pay much attention to this. I'm kind of like, don't care. It's like whatever rules you come up with, let's just see if it works kind of thing. I did, and then the deck building, 60 card minimum with no maximum limit. And life points was another thing I pushed back on. So a few of these I did push back on. I said, let there be 52 to 216 cards per deck. I don't like the idea of a deck of unlimited size. I don't like that. So I wanted 15 to 216, which is the equivalent of 1 to 4 poker decks with or without jokers. One of the things that's unique to the Aria's Tale TCG and the Aria's Tale ecosystem, it's open source and free. And so I would like the TCG to be playable with a standard poker deck. And so that's the reason for 52 cards to 216 cards. So that someone could play them with poker decks. Does that make sense? And the game system itself will have a map so that if you have a poker deck at home, you could say, I'm playing like deck A, B, or C. And when you draw the 2 of hearts, that will be mapped to some game card at no cost. You don't have to go buy packs. You can buy packs. We'll support that at some time. But you could utilize this free map instead as well. Okay, then I asked it to make some cards, create the first 6 cards. So this is where it comes up with Atlantean Guardian, Synthetic Enforcer, as well. Oh, and so 2 other things I pushed back. I wanted to simplify the card types to just entity cards and condition cards. So like all these different card types are really just 2. There's just like entities and then conditions, which can alter the battlefield conditions in any sort of imaginable way. And the third thing is I didn't like the arbitrary rule of 20 life points. So instead, I removed the concept of life points. Entities themselves represent the life of a team. If you run out of entities, your team is gone, you lose. So I think it's less ad hoc, more intuitive. And then the general concept for this TCG, like how does it map into the world? It will be like strategic preparation, so that people are like playing the TCG as a way to prepare or imagine potential situations they might run into. So from that perspective, this is a more useful heuristic. You can imagine that a team is literally battle testing if they go into some situation. And it would be the case that if they're gone, they lose, right? So I think it's a more natural and useful heuristic. Okay. So we make these cards, and then I ask it to basically prove to itself that it works. With these cards, give a demo of a multiple play round. And so it imagines that these plays happened and what the outcomes are. So it seems relatively consistent. We haven't really gone down into the weeds and done like a proof or a human play test. But at this point, I'm happy to proceed. Some more pictures. And now I say, so here's where we start to get into coding mode. Only 35 minutes in, right? But there's more to an evaluation than the coding itself. So I think we're being thorough and rightfully so. So here I say, this is a design decision. I say, I have a Next.js application for Aria's Tale already implemented. The game uses the narrative universe we've discussed. So we're also testing the context window for Grok. which is supposed to be quite large. It's supposed to be a key feature. It says moderate here, but I thought it was supposed to be over 100,000. Bummer. It doesn't specify on this article, whatever. So Grok 1.5 takes up to 128K tokens. Am I right to assume that Grok 2 would have at least the same context window? Have you received any offers lately? Yeah, I started a new job, so I'm not like pursuing offers anymore. Okay, I don't know. I think what I saw was the 1.5, and then I assumed that 2 would be equal or greater. And maybe that's wrong. So take it with a grain of salt, but I'm thinking, oh, okay, here we go. Grok 2 can handle context up to 128K tokens. Nextbigfuture.com, I don't know. Do we trust them? So I'm thinking that we have this, which to me is relatively large. I appreciate the humility of the Medium article calling it moderate. Yeah, if you compare it to next gen, fine, it's in the middle of the pack. If you compare it to prior gen, I think it's competitive with what I would consider to be large. What's the Sonnet 3.5? Up to 208K. Okay. So good. We'll call Grok moderate because it's smaller than Sonnet. But in my book, Sonnet's also quite large. I guess I'm still used to the 4 to 16K range that we had for months and months with the GPT series. So we can measure the tokens, but I'm thinking that the text so far is approximately captured in the context window. Let's see. Let's find a token counter. Yeah, so we're up to about 7K tokens. So Grok should totally have in mind, excuse me, all of this narrative stuff that we've discussed, and it should be constructing a technical solution that supports all of that narrative stuff. It should be doing this easily because we're under 10K tokens and it should support 10 times that. All right, good. And then Grok 3 is coming out by end of year, allegedly. So look forward to that. I will definitely do another eval stream whenever that happens. According to Elon, by end of year, whatever. Is that true? I don't know. Take it up with Elon. So excited for that and thinking that it will perform at least as well and with at least as large of a context window. I don't know if it will have a different image tool. Will Grok 3 have updated image generation? Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll do a different eval when we get there, right? Okay. So I asked Grok 2 to make this design decision. Should we create a new application or should we extend this existing application? And it did a really good job of looking at the pros and cons. as I would expect a senior engineer to do. So a junior engineer will follow orders. An intermediate engineer can give you a Boolean answer like yes, no. A senior engineer will have pros and cons and alternatives, like comparing and contrasting frameworks. So it doesn't just, so a mid-level engineer might know a framework and they can tell you if you can do a thing with that framework, but they won't be very good at comparing and contrasting, doing a similar thing across different frameworks. This is like in the maturity matrix of engineering, this is like a useful distinction. So here with Grok, it's behaving similar to a senior engineer, giving pros and cons on these alternatives. Granted that I asked it. So again, take it with a grain of salt, but still it's doing what I like. It's doing what I like so far. So here are the pros of the single one, notably SEO and traffic. Like these are accurate pros. It's not only giving me a list of pros, they are genuinely good things to mention as a list of pros. And the cons, similarly, complexity, performance, and focus. It's doing the right pro and con. New site, pros and cons. When I read this, I'm thinking scalability is not my concern, right? Like this is a small app. I don't have a scaling problem. User fragmentation would be a concern. I want to keep this community together and grow it, so I don't want to overly spread it. So if I read through Grok's pros and cons, if I don't even consider my own, if I just like assume that this is the right set of pros and cons, what do I think the decision would be from these? I think the decision would be we should extend the existing code base rather than make a distinct project. And that's exactly what Grok recommends. So to me, it looks like it's answering the question. It's giving accurate and relevant pros and cons. And then it is deducting from those pros and cons consistently. So I'm seeing a lot of green flags from a design perspective. So I say, great, let's implement this plan. Assume a T3 stack next year. Okay. And so now we're finally down to the code. And so this is where we are. I tell it that we will implement this page. So that's where it's getting this from. Then I copy the code over here. And so I will Command Z a couple times. And so this code, literal, is pasted from GPT. Notice a few issues with it. One, there are lint errors out of the box. Okay, so there are type errors. Image path to image is a dummy. Like this doesn't work. There's no image there. So the code that Grok has made doesn't work out of the box. It's not using, I've told it to use Next.js and it did not use the next image. It used the HTML image. So this is not the world's best code. This is not the world's best code. You could do a lot worse, but you could do a lot better. Let me Command Shift Z to include some of the improvements that I included. So searchable images. And basically now we pick up and we'll be live coding now. And this is basically the limit of what I've done. And so the next steps will be that we want to actually place these images here, right? So let's go ahead and do that and then we'll proceed. I also think that I should call this playmat instead of mat based on Googling. Maybe I can even ask a different language model. What is the most idiomatic, intuitive, and or common term for a TCG play mat? TCG mat, play mat, game mat, something else. So playmat. So we'll go with playmat. Okay. So here I'll rename the thing to be called TCG-playmat. Playmat. Here we have localhost running. I will right-click, close other pages. I will open my index page and update my navigation to include TCG playmat option. I'm going to Command P nav, Command A Aria nav. Here's the Aria top nav component. Very good. Home, game manual, games. Let's put these in alphabetical order. So Coliseum will go up top. The Coliseum game, check it out. I think it's pretty fun. Coliseum game, the fighting game, which is a total disaster. It's trying to be like a Smash Bros. And it just doesn't work because the sprites are messed up. It's awesome. Love it. And then here we will have playmat or TCG playmat. Let me know if you have a strong opinion. I'll go for TCG playmat. Movie Man, hello. Thanks for being here. Okay, so these are the prod URLs. Let's open up local, refresh. Close prod. Love closing the tabs. Feels great. Cool. All right, so here's localhost. Games, now I have the TCG playmat dropdown, right? It looks like a weird word to me. I guess I'm just not used to seeing that word, TCG playmat. Okay. And it's all one word. It's not two words, playmat. All right, cool. Thank you for the likes. So here, we can commit that by itself. Small commits, love to see it. Let me commit just the nav. So here's feet, playmat nav link. Here you can see I've got a feature branch that I just spun up. I did not make a GitHub issue for it. So whatever, best practice is not necessarily here. That's okay. And so now I'm on the matching file path. So Next.js uses file-based routing. And here I'll change playmat with one M, I think. Yeah, playmat. And I'll update the name. So TCG map is going to be TCG playmat. And so here I will tell Grok to basically do a revision. And so the revision works like this. The actual images are under this searchable images folder in the public resources, and they are ID'd. They are ID'd so that we will not be using Atlantean Guardian. We will be using 157-Atlantean Guardian. Okay. So let's inform Grok of these changes and ask it to update the code. Let's update the Next.js page code based on a few items. One, images are ID prefixed and stored at public searchable image. I actually don't know if I have an S on there. Searchable images, yeah. Searchable images card.slug. So we should use as one example and increment the prefix ID by 1 for each later card. 2, Let's call this page TCG playmat rather than TCG mat. It's a little less ambiguous. Okay. 3, make sure to include type support. I do not want to see this. 4, make sure to use next image for the image tags markup. Elements would be even better. Write down all the cards we have discussed and produced images for. Each image will become a trading card. For example, we created an image for the temporal anomaly. How do you spell temporal anomaly? Thanks, grammar check. Cool. I think 5 items is more than enough. And for many large language models, that will actually be overwhelming and confusing. So let's limit it to 5 for now. If Grok takes all of this and implements the requests effectively, then it is already doing a substantially above average job. For many language models, you'll want to do one at a time. So chain of thought prompting is extremely effective. And as you blur the chain of thought by doing too much at once, you'll tend to confuse models. But the smarter models will get confused less often. Okay, here's an updated version. And it's sort of paused the response here. Okay, so I'll just say continue as I do for other models. I don't know if this is the right thing to do for a Grok. Somehow gotten like sort of stuck. I'll copy what it previously put. Okay. It's kind of jittering. It's kind of jittering. That's okay. The formatting here is weird. Not a big deal though. Not a big deal. So I'm going to command A, V, and then I'm not going to save it just yet. I'm going to come over here and grab the remainder. And I may need to manually stitch these. Whenever you have a continue phrase, often it will break, the joining line. So let me undo that and make a note of where I was. So line 78. So let's go look at line 78. And we can see that basically it sort of like duplicated the line partial. So let me delete that. And otherwise the lines seem to join, but there is an offset somewhere that's wrong. All of this orange text should be syntax highlighted. Okay. And so it's because when I copied, I don't know if that was me or I don't know how that happened. Let me try to do that again. It copied the prompt response rather than just the code response. So my intent was to click this button here, which should just be the code, yeah? Okay. Okay. Okay, no, that was my fault. That was my fault. So there's 2 different copy buttons. Interesting. So you can click the copy button for the TSX window, which is different than the copy button for the whole response. So that was the user error. That was the user error. So let's go back up to here, find the line partial, delete that. And now the syntax highlighting looks good. Command S simply runs the format on save there. So we're looking good. How about this? Import drag event is only used as a type. So we'll quick fix that. That's fine. Very, very minor improvement there. List of cards we've discussed. So it built out more, but it did not respect the, oh, interesting. It did it this way. Okay, so as long as it integrated this card data properly, then we'll be good to go. So here the ID and then the slug.jpg. Cool. I think in my data model, so there actually is card data in my data model already. That's for a different app. Let's see. Command P, Aria, Prisma, model card, no. Model searchable image, yeah. So a searchable image will have a game card. And the slug is actually on the image. The slug is actually on the image. And I call it the image file name. So I think it will include the ID portion of the file name. If I look for some examples, you see it in the seed data, I am including the 2- and what have you here. Again, minor discrepancy, and if I told that to Grok, I'm sure it would update appropriately. Let's get rid of that comment there. Interesting that it's mixed some JSX here with a style module. So it has both. That's interesting. This file doesn't exist. So where does it think that I'm building this? I don't know that I have module CSS anywhere in this app. Let's see. Oh, it doesn't know that I'm using Tailwind. Right. Okay. Yeah, this would be the only case where I use a CSS module, so I don't want to introduce that. So let's do some more feedback for Grok. Let's use Tailwind instead of CSS modules for this. Any other feedback that I want to provide? Sure, I'll go ahead and make it aware of the Prisma schema. We'll include the user game card as well. Let's separate the data model stuff from the Tailwind stuff. So it's slowing down a bit now, isn't it? That's okay. It's still doing a pretty good job. make sure that they are done talking. Look, it's gotten truncated again. That's okay. So while I'm integrating this, it can be thinking about the data model question. So I'll grab this, go to my index file, Command A, V, S. Only thing here would be that type again, very, very minor. Otherwise, it looks great. So let's see if the UI, and we got the tailwind working. Let's see if the UI looks good now. Okay. Right. It will be games. Interesting. You can do a lot worse, right? So I need to place the images in there, and that will be something we can do. It's sort of snapping it, and it's trying to hover. So the image is broken, but otherwise this seems like pretty cool. Let me go ahead and move these games into here. So here will be games Coliseum. Here will be games Fighting. So now we've got these games in here. Probably I should have done that in 2 steps. Yeah. So this is going to be like a overloaded commit. Let me step out this 157 JPG. So this will be feet. Well, here I can do it in 2 moves. Coliseum will unstage that. Fighting will unstage that. Okay. So here's feet init game map or mat page. And then this will be feet move other game pages. And let's also do the nav at this point in time. So I have my components, I have my top nav, and then this will say games/. Do a quick regression check. I'll need to wrap this in the custom page so that it can navigate back to the rest of the website. That's like a minor detail. So games, Coliseum. Okay, phaser is loading up. Fighting game. The fighting game is so messed up. That's not due to the current situation. Coliseum. Ah, interesting. Oh, okay. This one will be a path issue. This one will be a path issue. Okay. So the random sound goes to the sound array. We're picking one of these sounds. Start game scene. These paths have changed. But have they? Public assets audio, public assets audio. So I think it should be in the same location. Hmm. One, two, three, four. Yep, they're all there. So if I revert this, it will work. Is that right? So games, fighting, games, Coliseum. Let me back this out. So here I've restored this page. Okay. So it's using a relative path then. Interesting. Interesting. Okay, I didn't realize that. I think this is still a small adjustment. Dynamic Coliseum game. We import the Coliseum game from here. Scenes, start game scene. And so let me change these paths to have a prefix slash. And hopefully this will allow it to know that it should traverse from the root. So first I'm doing a regression check. Okay, it seems to work. And now I am moving it over. So the Coliseum will go over here. Command click, we can still refer. Command click, we can still refer. Where's that initial scene? Command F, S, S, C, E, N, E. Start game scene. Oh, and it just picks that one because it's like first there. So, and this has the intended absolute paths. Okay, so we moved this, and now I'll do games slash. Cool. Similar problem with the image loading. Similar problem with the image loading. Games, assets. Yeah, so it thinks it's relative to the games folder now, which it's not. Okay. Command Shift F, battlers. Here we are. So I will add, this is the battle scene. So I'll add this prefix over here. Prefix slash to let it know that it's relative to the domain base. Good. I think this improves the portability of the code. I can move things around and it will be relative to base. Okay. Let's see. Now I've got image. Attacking is not working. Default attack sound. Okay. Command Shift F. So the default attack sound, yep, also needs this tweak as well. Cool. All right, we're in business. All right, so we're able to relocate it to this game's route. Let's go ahead and check. So the fighting game, I should be doing this too, I guess. Even though that thing doesn't work anyway. So here is the fighting game, the fighter game. We go to the preload scene, and yeah. Need to add this root relative specifier. Seems pretty much fine. Yeah. Okay. Let's see if it at least loads. Unknown character type idling. It only recognizes if you pick tank. That's awesome. It gives you both options, but only one of them, but like one of them always fails to be recognized. That's so epic. Okay, and look, this is the best. I don't. Oh man, victory! Someone please help me fix that. I don't know. All right, fine. It loaded. It's so bad, dude. It's so bad. All right, and then the TCG playmat is over here. Okay, so the current commit, which is like relocate these things, move other game pages. Good. Oh man, that thing is so bad. And so next, what do I want to do? Next, I want to add the images to their right location for the playmat and add the common page wrapper. The common page wrapper. Okay, so for the Coliseum page, there is the custom page wrapper. So here I move to TCG playmat, index, I'll literally wrap the thing. I think the main heading was placed into a title anyway. Yeah. So the meta description also comes here, okay? So here's the TCG playmat for Aria's Tale. And play with your TCG cards on this virtual playmat. So this is the meta description. Awesome that Grok thought to have this metadata, which other tools just may omit entirely. And so now we'll save. And do I have a main tag here as well? Yeah, I have a main tag here as well. Content before title. And then the children. So I don't want both of these to exist. The main heading distinct from the title. Okay. Okay, so here will be the main heading then. So we'll call this one title, and then I'll make a main heading. Let's go ahead and order these alphabetically because we can. Because we can. Okay, and so I see little reason. So here I'm noticing that this has padding and text center, and it has no margin. And so I feel potentially comfortable collapsing the class names from this main tag to this div because there's no rule conflict. So let's collapse these and see how that looks. Okay. Now I can remove the problem of having nested main tags, which is not due to Grok. Grok did not know that I have a custom page. So this is something an engineer should be expected to know how to do in 2024 plus in the era that we're in, I need to know how to use a language model, which is I need to know what is in its context window, what I've provided to it, and the delta between that and my code base. I'm responsible for that delta. I can't expect the language model to know that delta, not in 2024. Give it 5 years when these language models can properly scan a code base, even a large one, and then maybe it is more likely to know than the engineer about the surrounding context. That's not the case today. Today, we own it. We own it. Hope you're finding the video interesting. If so, throw some likes on it. Consider following the page. Consider sharing the video with an interested other with your network, or drop a comment if you have any questions. Okay, so now I'm trying to look at the TCG playmat, and you see we are inside of the typical page wrapper with the nav. This text feels like way too big to me. Something for another day. Let's not get off track, eh? Okay. So the next thing to do then will be to fix these broken images. So let me commit where we are. So where we are is, and then I'll remove this head tag that we no longer need. Command Shift P sort imports. Okay. And so the feature here is use custom page. Matt uses custom page. Cool. We can get rid of some of these unnecessary comments. RM extraneous comment. Okay. Now I want to go place these in the right location. So let me click this, which was basically just a placeholder, and that lets me snap over here. And so what am I looking for? 157 Atlantean Guardian. The tool in front of us that you're seeing is a VS Code extension. So this image editor is not built in. I think it's the Luna Paint extension. Very cool extension. Very cool extension. Okay. So I can command P 157 Atlantean Guardian. So here we are, and let me go get the real images. So now I'm going over to Grok, and I'm just scrolling back to go get these images. So where's the Atlantean Guardian? We have this one. Save image as, what was this thing called? Enforcer. Enforcer. Here is the Forgotten Warrior. I think that looks awesome. Temporal anomaly. How do you spell anomaly? Anomaly. Okay, temporal anomaly. Here's the quantum sovereign. Okay. So some of those we haven't made yet. So draw the Atlantean Guardian. Draw the Atlantean Guardian. Say, which cards have we yet to illustrate? That looks awesome, dude. That looks awesome. Save image as Atlantean Guardian. We did this. Okay. Quantum Voyagers. Let's do an image roll here. So gallery, let's do an art roll. I'll do one from the art roll, and then I'll ask Grok to come up with some art style. So we'll do neoclassicism with asymmetry. That's like so the art roll is a collection of art styles, and then it's sort of like a D&D roll, randomly selects the art style for the purpose of prompting. So draw quantum voyagers in using an art style of neoclassicism with asymmetry. I don't know what I'm looking at. This doesn't look like anything. Let's try it again. I'm expecting quantum voyagers. I want to see like an entity here. This just looks like statues. Really, really, utterly failing. Let's try this again. That doesn't look like there is an entity there. Describe these quantum voyagers. Are they humans? They are sentient entities composed of quantum energy or whatever. All right, whatever you're talking about, dude. This definitely sounds made up. Okay, so given this detailed description, try one more time. 2. And if this doesn't work, we'll alter the art style under request. Nice. This I can roll with. So this is Quantum Voyagers. This I can roll with. So we're saving the image as Quantum Voyagers. Name your own unique art style. We will draw a different image using that style. It misunderstood my prompt. Oh well, I guess I was ambiguous. This looks cool though. They look like angel dogs. Do not draw anything. Give me a text response. I want you to name a style of art that you find interesting, or an artistic technique. Oh, Grontium quantum classicism style? Grokian. Are we in the fun mode? Grokian quantum classicism style. So let me take this back and just ask it. What does Grokian classicism? What is distinctive about Grokian classicism in contrast to ordinary classicism? It's just like totally made up. Hold on. This is not real, right? Grokian classicism. Yeah, it's saying Grokian like in reference to himself. So basically you just drew whatever you wanted. Is not a widely recognized or established art. Yeah. All right, cool. That was fun. So Grok like made up its own art style. I dig it. So I'm not going to persist that into the art roller because it's not like real, but it's cool. So I'll call this like quantum Voyager pets or dogs. Quantum angel dogs. So we have all of our cards now, do we? Synthetic Enforcer. Synthetic Enforcer. I thought we had the Synthetic Enforcer. Yeah, we do. Okay. Maybe Grok forgot. I don't know. Okay, so let's bring our downloads folder over here, and then we are going to start numbering these guys. So the Atlantean Guardian, 157. Atlantean Guardian. Oh, it's JPEG. I was like, why is there no conflict? Because it's a EG on the JPEG. Okay. And then we'll do so what's the order here? $158. So the quantum sovereign is 162. So 162 quantum sovereign, 158 quan with an N, quantum voyagers. We'll do 163 angel dogs, which I'm definitely keeping in the game world. Absolutely. 161 is the temporal anomaly. 160 is the forgotten warrior. 159 is the synthetic enforcer. Seven, 8, 9. Where's the 9? 9, 6, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I think we got all of them. We got all of them, right? Seven, 8, 9, 6, 1, 2, 3. Okay. I'll add one more here. Okay, and so can I see them on my game mat now? So I go to my game mat. They're still broken. They're broken because of the suffix. That's the reason they're broken. So I'll need to add the .jpeg onto these. And I will translate these into seeds later on. Okay, let's make sure that we're doing the asset relative path URL. So here's searchable images under public. Yeah, so why are these not loading then? Okay, interesting. Inspect. We're getting a 403, of course, but what is the path that is requested resulting in the 403? Next image URL. Bad host. So when I go to the gallery, when I get a random image, all right, it's going to work. It's looking for.
Do you want to go to West Elm with me later?
Sure. It's looking for this. So how do I refer to this? On the random, gallery random, Command P, gallery random. Let me look for the Command F, image. So it does have the root slash. Am I missing the root slash? Here's the root slash. Card ID. Oh, yeah. So the file extension should not be there. Yeah. It was doing .jpeg, .jpg. Does that make sense? No go. That's a no go. This games thing right here, I want them all to be in the middle. Yay, we got them loaded. They're looking good, eh? Boom. I'm going to play this Quantum Sovereign. No, I'm not, because that doesn't work. Let me do one commit at a time. Let's lock in the win so far. Feet, preview, images on game map. Today's experience using Grok 2 is much better than my attempt to use Cursor recently. So Cursor IDE is an AI-driven IDE that can be used as a substitute to VS Code. And I used Claude Sonnet as the engine, and it was not a fun experience. I think this experience has been much more fun using Grok 2. I love Claude Sonnet. I love that model, using it myself. I don't like it to drive Cursor. So that's not to knock Sonnet. It's more a knock on Cursor. I'm not confident that Grok 2 is beating Sonnet. I'm not making that claim, although maybe it is. But it's doing quite a good job. Whether or not we say that it's beating Sonnet, it's doing quite a good job. And it strikes me that it's another case where there's slightly different tools for slightly different use cases. Sonnet will have a longer context window going up to, I think, about 200 tokens, 200K tokens. But the Grok 2 token window is like, it's pretty good for me. Like, sure, the difference is nearly 100% between 120 and 200, but like, I'm not really constrained in either case. You know what I mean? At least for this use case. If I wanted it to comprehend my whole code base, now I don't think either of them are doing the job, actually. I would like a bit of margin here. M auto, and I'm going to add MY2. Yeah, just to back it off that line, maybe even MY4. I think that looks better. Zop Control, hello, thank you for the likes. Welcome, welcome. This does seem too large to me. So what if we back it down to just XL? I think this looks good. What do you think? Gallery. I think the XL is still big enough. Game manual, right? It's not like we're having difficulty reading. Oh, this is still quite bad. This is quite bad over here. So why is this occurring? Yeah, this is quite bad. It's the line height is going to be the issue here. I think I want the ability to pass down a heading style override. Or just a heading, pass down a heading. So main heading is a string. So let's do a type check here. Cool. So it looks like Copilot took the bait in this case. And let's ensure that the style is replicating the one intended. Yeah. So if it's a string, we're going to use it. Otherwise, we will render it as an element. What is the name of the platform? ariastale.com. ariastale.com. Okay, and so now let's go to the home page and pass down a custom main heading. So here's the main heading, and instead of the string, we will use a custom one. Okay, so here's the main heading. I think I broke something. Okay, all right, cool. That was my fault. That was my fault. Okay, so here is the markup. Element not assignable to string, so we're going to need to alter the type here. It can be a React node, right? So it can be a string or a React node now. And I specifically want it to be an HTML heading element. For now, yeah. I mean, in the future, we can change it if needed, but I would really like it to be an HTML heading element. Thank you for the likes. JSX intrinsic elements .h1. Yeah, sure. That's totally what I meant. No, is that not what I meant? It's not what I meant. No. Where would you get that from? All right, we'll just go for React Node. Fine. I would like it to be slightly stronger so that it can validate that it's an H1, but I don't want to spend time on it. Okay, so here, I just want to get rid of the text XL because that was too much in this case. All right, here the line height is now excessive, isn't it? And so what if I get rid of this bit? That doesn't help. Tracking right, text white, text SM, and then that gets too small. So text SM 4 rem. We can just lower the 4 rem a bit. Let's drop it down to a 2. Much better, yeah? I think it looks much better. What do you think? I just discovered. Zop Control, thank you for being here. Glad that you just discovered us. Okay, so it looks pretty good. Maybe it's actually too small on a cell phone. No, I think it looks good. Chat, what do you think? I can bump it up if you want, but this is kind of what I was going for. Yes, good structure. Thank you very much. Appreciate the support. Pretty much what I was intending. Okay. So here, the feature is allow custom heading elements, custom headings, let's say. Okay. And then let's fix the nav so that they're consistently in the middle. So here's the top nav. Games is using this bit. The drop-down menu element is middle margin implicitly. That is the reason it's behaving differently. So, M auto, what to do here? I think that's about it, yeah? I can specify MX auto. Yeah. Alternatively, on the parent, which is flex, I could say align items middle, maybe, instead of MX on all of them. No? And I'm not seeing my Tailwind IntelliSense pop up. My tab complete is not tab completing. Justify center. Okay, let's see if that works. Ooh. Not what I was going for there. Not what I was going for there. Let's do MD flex row. Okay. Yeah. So that way I don't have to put the MX auto everywhere. And let me actually undo all that and just grab these 2 key rules. Cool. I love that the Tailwind CSS plugin automatically puts the class name in alphabetical order. It makes me really, really happy. Why the comments appear? That is due to GitHub Copilot. GitHub Copilot. Okay, so this I think is looking pretty good. So we have home, game manual. It's still just doing a regression check here. Gallery, GitHub pops open there. Cool. We go to the gallery. We go to the games. It looks good in this drop down. We're going to go to the fighting game. It's working. Okay. We're going to go to the TCG playmat. This is working. Nice. Cool. And then the last thing will be to drag it on there and to get that to work. So feet. Center align nav items. Let me also check the non-mobile. I only want it to do that stuff on mobile. Cool. And it looks good. Kind of flattens out, right? As intended. These, the play mat, I'd like the width to be more. Let's double the width. Yeah, I think that looks cooler. And I'd like to be able to click and have a modal pop up. On the one where I drag it, let's make sure that so here's the cards on the playmat. We get rid of the extraneous JPG over there. Okay, so now this should work. So I should be able to drag you over here. Boom. Cool. And that's working, but it's small. Let's do 200 over there as well. Cool. Liking this a lot. This seems too narrow. I like that it shrinks down. It's flexible. It's mobile friendly. What do you call it? Responsive. I like that it's responsive. Dude, this stuff is so good. The Chill Pill, Raw Juicery, please sponsor me. I will. And it just smells so good. I will sell this for you, dude. Sponsor this stuff. Pineapple, lemon, chamomile, coconut nectar, vanilla, butterfly pea flower, ashwagandha. I think this can bring you back to life. Like, okay. Okay. I like that it's responsive, but when we blow out to desktop, I think we're not leveraging all the real estate we have. I think we can go twice as wide. What I'd really like to do is be able to have like a player's whole hand of cards, and he can like see all their cards sort of at once. So how do I leverage this? MY4 flex full width, gap 6, PY8. None of those seem to be the problem. So let me delete all these. Well, one of them was the problem. Okay. Very much was the problem. What am I missing? I think it's this thing, but the toying that I did, unless I deleted it sort of unwittingly. Here, let's see. The toying that I did would beg to differ. Yeah, that was irrelevant, actually. Okay. What was that thing that I deleted? And I thought it had nothing to do with the issue, but it totally resolved the issue. Not these. It's not specifically on the card mat. MX Auto, P5T Center. Nope. Custom page. Yeah. There's something over here. This was it. Right. So it was not to do with the content of the page. It's once again my custom page generic wrapper is the issue. So what would this be? This would be the inner page wrapper, let's say. Let's just make up a name. So this is the inner page wrapper style. Inner page wrapper class name. Let's just do inner page class name. Inner page class name. Does that make sense? I think it makes sense. Let me know if you have a better one. So there's the inner page class name. Which will be defaulted to its prior name. Okay. Let's go ahead and sort these. Okay. And so we can do the regression test. Nothing should have gone wrong. It'll all be looking the same for now. We're specifically looking at the sort of gutters of the page. I also don't like this offset here. Yeah, this should be centered by default. So what is this? Centered, gallery centered. That's going to be target none. Games, TCG plat. Okay, and this one, since we're using the custom, no? Why is this one not centered? I miss a lot. That's why I don't understand, but next time. Okay, well, thanks for being here. So we'll go to the computed text align. It seems as though the rule is just not applied. That's very strange. Is it just text centered? Yeah, okay. So the rule wasn't applied because text align center is not a real Tailwind rule. Okay, so it's text center, not text align center. And now if we go to computed, text align center. Great. Okay. We're continuing the regression check. So here we go. Games Coliseum. We're in the middle. Cool. Game manual. We're in the middle. Love to see it. Homepage. This is okay because it's a custom one. I'm cool with that. Mobile style looking good. I think we're looking good, y'all. Now that we've completed the regression check, let's move forward on the current intent. And the current intent was to widen the TCG playmat region. Okay. So now we have this new inner page class name. What if I just wipe it? What happens? Okay. Seems pretty good, except I do want some vertical margin. So I will just have MY4. Yeah, I mean, I think that looks pretty good. And then let's check mobile. On mobile, we're still looking groovy. How do I kind of like select it on mobile? That is a different pain point. I don't seem to be able to select it on mobile because it's going to be using the scroll action. But yeah, look, I can move my little cards over here. They look great. So on mobile, maybe I do like a swipe right or left. So like swipe right will be play, swipe left to zoom. So feet more, this is really a style change. More play area on mat. So now I'll take this over to Grok, and this will be the sort of the last complicated thing we do with Grok. I'll say, hey, here's the current state of it. I'd like to have this swipe on mobile, not on desktop. On desktop, we can click and drag. On mobile, we'll swipe. On desktop, what would it be? A single click or a double click to bring a modal that sort of zooms in? Consider the current state of the page code. Let me make sure that I mark it as TypeScript. Update this page with the following changes. On mobile, swipe right to play the card onto the mat, onto the play mat. On mobile, swipe left to zoom on the card, showing a modal. With a close icon in the upper right. On desktop, double click the card to zoom on the card, showing the same modal. On mobile or desktop, clicking the card while, let's not do double click, let's just do click. Let's do mouse up. Mouse up or enter key up on the card to zoom on the card. On mobile or desktop, clicking the card or key up while it is on the playmat, will remove it from the playmat. I don't like this add event listener. Can't I just key up on the element? No, this is so weird. So Grok here is not using idiomatic react. Even when I specified, can you attach the handler directly to the element? It was using the ref approach, which is a weird thing to do in React. This would be like the DOM, vanilla.js DOM binding approach. So kind of strange that it did that. I mean, it seemed to get the code right, but it did it in a very strange way. Typically, we like to avoid use effect. When I say we, I mean React best practices. This is like a last resort to touch the use effect. Cool, so it made a modal over here, good. You can probably break that out, but it's fine. Handle key card key up. This is what I'm expecting. Yeah, this is what I'm expecting. All right, let's take a look. Command AVS. Here I will grab this and I will cut it. And I will say const zoomed card. And I'm hoping Copilot helps me out here. In the parens, I will paste the Grok implementation. I'll just comment that there. Okay. And then I can potentially move the card elsewhere, like to a different file. Okay, so here we have wiped the card interface. So I'm going to remember the card interface. Anything else that was wiped that I need to remember? Sometimes these language models, it's not unique to Grok, will trim comments. They'll trim all sorts of stuff. No more drag event. That's interesting. Handle drop. Okay, so it removed the drag and drop, which was not really my intent, but let's see. Maybe that's fine. So we're zooming on it. Great. I love that. There is sort of a flash, isn't there? There's like a vertical flash, which is kind of strange. Okay, so it's done what I've wanted, but it's lost some feature that I also wanted. The modal looks great. I like that modal. Okay, this modal, here, let's see. This modal looks great. Let me try commenting the Copilot modal and leveraging the Grok modal. So I'm kind of merging the recommendation of both tools, which is fine. So this will have a button clicked, but I don't see the button. Yeah, it's this tiny little button. No good. Right, let's get rid of. So in the Copilot approach, you'll click the background div. I actually like that more. In Grok's defense, I asked for the button, so don't know if I can hold that one against it. And that simplifies the component because it doesn't need to create an SVG. So they are approximately equivalent implementations between Grok and Copilot once I remove the icon. Okay. I separated out the zoomed card modal. And I removed the close icon, opting for a click on the Moto background to close. This works well, but the swipe feature on mobile is not working. In addition, there are two other issues. A flash of unstyled content on modal open, and two, the drag and drop feature on desktop has been removed. My intent was to preserve that on desktop. We'll be wrapping up here in the next 15. Frankly, I think the state of it is good enough. These are just sort of nice to haves. The React swipeable library. Let's grab that one because it's done. So the zoomed card, let's see if this fixes the flash. No, we're still getting the flash. Do you see that? Add CSS to handle the transition. Yeah, this one will do it. Okay, well, the good thing is it didn't get confused by having like a bunch of questions at once. Handle drag, we'll go after C. So handle drag start and handle drop. Handle drag start, handle drop, and then we'll have the on drop. And this is the drop area. So I'll be over here. Let's just check that. Type drag event is not generic. Where'd it go, bro? The drag start, where did you go? Okay. This on the card. So here's a custom page. Here is a card, cards.map, draggable true, then on drag start. Let's move the class name up. I try to keep these things in alphabetical order. I'm not really a Puritan about it, but you see how this div is already vertically growing. Having them conventionally in alphabetical order makes looking up the presence of a key and its value more like easier and more reliable. Okay. So in theory, I can drag them now. Cool. Yeah, and I have, cool. And then they pop off. Whatever, it's a minor, that flash is like a minor thing. I'm not gonna worry about it. It is annoying that on mobile, I don't have a way. That one is more than nice to have. Like on mobile, there's no way to get it onto the mat. You see why that's a problem? So what is this feature here? The feature here is, oh, and let's go back to the 200s. I liked those more. Would be good to have a cursor pointer here. Okay, it's there. It's there. So yeah, okay, maybe if the modal had a play button, that could solve the issue, yeah? It feels like a workaround though. I really want to be able to swipe it. So the real feature here is the zoom in modal. Card zoom modal. So the real feature is the card zoom modal, and then I'm going to need the swipe. It's like non-negotiable, and then we'll be done. Let's check on React swipeable. Downloads are going down or sideways anyway. Seems mature. Is this really what we want though? Hammer.js. I feel like I've used Hammer.js before. Swiper. Swiper is going to look better. Yeah, this looks great. Updated 4 days ago, seems actively maintained. Where's the NPM? Swiper 10. I see Swiper V11. Let's go for that. 1.8 to 2.2. So it's still going up slowly but surely. Okay, this one seems better. This one seems better. Hey, Grok. Let's use cool. So I'm going to kill my server. Package JSON is what I expect. Yup. Stage that, stage that. Swiper doesn't directly handle swipe left, right. I should still be able to tell, eh?
John, are you ready?
Are the kids ready?
I'm not going to get them up unless you're ready.
Yeah, you can go ahead and get them up. I'll be done in the next 5 or 10. I'm so confused how it doesn't directly handle left or right. The vertical horizontal thing here is confusing to me as well. Okay. That makes sense. Okay, let's see what Grok does here. So it nuked the zoomed card. We can go get it though. whatever. Can fix some of those things. I'm surprised there was not an auto fix action for that. Okay, so it looks like Grok may have a mistake here. This is not a good implementation. It has too many things that are empty. I'm going to say write out the full handle, write out the full TCG playmat implementation, including the internals of the handle play card. Do okay, and do handle the difference between swiping left and right, or next versus previous.
You're getting your shoes on? Okay, I'll meet you in the car.
It's even going to do the card IDs. I think that's not really necessary, but okay. I really wanted the internal of this playmat. Over 1,600 likes on TikTok. Thank you so much. If you've enjoyed the video, thanks for being here. I hope you'll follow the page. Go ahead and give the video a few more likes before we wrap up here. But really, I hope to see you at the next stream or at laterally.io, where you can sign up for free and join the Discord. If you have any questions that I didn't get to, you can ask anytime on the Discord. So here I am copying the TCG playmat implementation. Undo, 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 undo. Till back before we even had Swiper, everything was going swimmingly, if you remember. Okay, and so I will Put my cursor here. Command Shift End. Enter, enter, Command V. We're looking at line 102 where we will join these fragments. So let me go back to line 102. Remove this partial line, save that. Bring in the import. Cannot redeclare zoomed card. Do I have it twice? Yeah, so it's a variable name and a component name. Oh no, the component is declared twice. Okay, let's just comment it out down here. Here's a bit of a type issue. I think we can ignore that for now. Okay, there are a couple issues here. So maybe Grok is not super sure how to use Swiper version 11. Maybe it's like a new one. They seem minor. Let's see if it works anyway. Let's see if it works despite having a few rough spots, let's say. Effect cover flow is not defined. Okay. It's coming from Swiper modules. Let's go ahead and grab all these imports. On use state, I like to prefix it with React. Okay, so the click works. The drag is not working. Nope, this is not working. It's slight. It's made a carousel of the group of cards, which is not what I want. I want to swipe on a particular card. But still, we do have the swipe previous versus next. So it's able to distinguish left versus right. I'm going to go ahead and pause the stream there. Thanks for joining.